So Rishi Sunak, he's on his way to the G20 summit in India tonight, but the man hosting the event has already had a dig at our Prime Minister. Sunak and other Western leaders have been told by Narendra Modi not to lecture the developing world on climate change. So India is the third biggest polluter in the world. Modi says the UK needs to do more to help his country cut their carbon emissions. That's funny that, though, isn't it? Hang on a minute. No, surely not. I didn't think they wanted any help from us in it. Right, well, there we go. I'm joined now by the director of the Global Warming Policy Foundation, Denis Peiser, and the former Labour MP, Denis Macshane. Look, both of you, thank you very, very much. Benny, I do actually think that Modi's got a point, which is that we shouldn't really be lecturing other countries, should we, on what they should be doing? What do you make of it?
Well, we have been lecturing them for the last 20 years, and the Indians are very shrewd. They've basically said at COP26, remember, that was in Glasgow, when Boris had the COP, they said, well, you want us to go green? Well, it will cost you $1 trillion. We need $1 trillion by 2030, then we'll go green. And if you don't cough up the money, then I'm afraid we won't be able to do it. There was a meeting of African countries just the other day. They are asking for 300 billion per year in climate finance. So net zero is basically...
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, look, exactly this. I mean, there's a heck of a lot wrong with what's going on at the moment, right? So it appears that India is saying we will only deal with the climate crisis, if indeed it is a crisis, if you give us the money and help us in order to be able to do that. Otherwise, we're not doing it on our own. They've got a much bigger economy than us. So, again, why on earth would you need... I question this notion of developing country as well, to be honest. When you look at it, I mean, they've just, again, fired something at the moon and at the sun. How developed... What point do you become a developed country? That's another thing that I would push back on big time there. But Denis Macshane, I'll bring you in now on this. Denis, we are being clobbered with net zero guff in this country. Meanwhile, India and China are just going to crack on, and it's not going to make the blind bit of difference, is it?
I think that's partly true. I mean, Narendra Modi is the sort of Nigel Farage of the subcontinent. He's a motor mouth with a view on everything and a lecture for everybody. He runs a very autocratic party. It's based on a Hindu ideology called Hindutva, which nobody discusses. It's Hindu supremacism, very anti-Muslim. And of course he wants to put his hand out for as much money as possible. You can't really blame him. I mean, his real opponent, he's not interested in Rishi Sunak. I mean, Rishi is just small beer as far as he's concerned, not even a Cobra beer. It's Joe Biden. It's Biden and the United States are calling the shots on this because they really got their ants out about climate change. And Mr. Modi is saying, give us some money and we'll work a bit more with you. Otherwise, it's just put the cowputts on the fire and we'll keep choking the atmosphere.
Yeah, no, indeed. I mean, it's absolutely shocking, I think. And Benny as well, we look at India, fourth or fifth biggest economy in the world, depending on which day of the week you look at it, doing all of this stuff as well in terms of space, etc. So if we now curtail ourselves, and America curtails itself and Europe curtails itself in order to hit these net zero targets, and countries like India and China don't bother doing that, they will just overtake it. It is not in their interest to do anything about the climate, is it?
No, of course not.
Right.
And this has been going on at least since 2009. Remember the Copenhagen Climate Summit where Gordon Brown and Obama promised the developing world $100 billion per year. So the whole agenda is basically disintegrating in front of our noses. Of course, in Europe, no one is acknowledging this or accepting this. But this has been going on for 20 years, and they will not give up on cheap energy unless the alternative can compete.
Exactly. And we are told, every single time I get a climate activist on this show, they go, have you seen the floods in India? Have you seen the floods in Pakistan? Have you seen the fires all over these places in China, etc.? If the Indians don't care about that, then why on earth, Dennis, should we have to make any difference to our way of life? They don't care. They're just cracking on.
Well, because other people do stupid and bad things, it's not necessarily the best advice to a country to do stupid and bad things. We're now facing the prospect of Indians being the single biggest immigrant group coming into Britain. We're not talking about it. We're obsessed with people in small boats. They're coming on planes, they're landing, and they are now, as I say, a very large immigrant group. And one reason is when the poor of India realise the well-off of India, or the middle classes of India, are coming to Britain and Europe and America, the poor will start coming. And if they have no hope, no air conditioning, there's no insulated homes, everything is just allowed to get as hot as possible. Just in the way the deep south of America, before air conditioning, every African American,
we are getting absolutely mugged off by the Indian government, left, right, and centre. We're going over there asking for trade deals. They're telling us we will give you a trade deal if you have all of these visa schemes for us, which we've basically got already. And we'll just have to accept that. You know, I know that they get very touchy about the foreign aid side of things. I don't want to drag that up. But the fact is they are firing stuff into space at the moment. And we have to take it as read, do we, from Modi, that if we pay for air conditioning in rural African villages, you will stop firing coal up. I mean, have a day off. It's not happening. We are being mugged off. Look, both of you, thank you very, very much. It is the director of the Global Warming Foundation, Benny Peiser, and former Labour MP as well, Denis Macshane. They are laughing at us in India. They're absolutely laughing at us.